When I first had an idea for a small online writing group, I thought I knew exactly what it should be. More content, workshops, resources, exclusive videos, adding value. Because we're taught to equate value with more stuff, more information, more things to consume. And then I asked some writers what they actually need. Their answer completely changed what I built. Y'all, if you're new here, The Writing Woods is not just this show. There's also a free online community where folks can gather, share what they're working on, get to know each other, and support each other in building consistent writing practices. So when I started thinking about creating a smaller, more involved space within that larger Writing Woods community, I asked those writers what would make it genuinely useful for them. And they did not ask for more content. They wanted people to write with, a reason to consistently show up, and something that would help them treat their writing practice as important. Because it is, but sometimes it is really difficult to prioritize it that way. And the more I listened to them, the more I realized I had fallen into a trap that I think a lot of us do with writing and otherwise. I had identified an environment problem and tried to solve it like a knowledge problem. So before we get into that, let's take a deep breath. You've made it to the Writing Woods. There's no pressure here, there's no stress. Just like at writingwoods.com, we're having open, honest conversations about what the writing process actually looks like. And y'all, sometimes it looks like a knowledge problem. That's real. Learning about structure and writing techniques, it can help you tell better stories and have a better approach to your writing and revision processes. But think about how often we reach for information when information isn't really what's missing. There have been days when I can't get myself to sit down and write, so I reach for a video about writing instead. Maybe I feel disconnected from my story, so I reach for a craft book. And those things aren't necessarily bad, but at some point you do have to ask yourself, do I actually not know what to do? Or is my environment not helping me do it? Because those are completely different problems. And once I realized that, it completely changed the way that I was building this group. I'd been thinking this group will give writers the tools to become better storytellers. And by tools, I meant information, techniques, things that they could be taught. But knowing more about writing does not by itself make us better writers. At some point, we have to actually sit down and write. So instead of asking, what can I give them to learn? I started asking what would make it easier for them to consistently show up to write. That became the foundation of this group, which is called Camp. Instead of building a library of things for campers to consume, I built ways for them to write together. Campers can see when other writers are generally available, and they can start their own writing sessions over Zoom and join sessions that other campers start. No workshop, no lesson, just, hey, I'm writing Tuesday evening. Anybody want to join? Because sometimes the thing that gets us into the chair is not another productivity technique. Sometimes it's just knowing that someone else is expecting you to be there. And you can create that condition for yourself in a lot of ways. Make a standing date with another writer. Have someone expect a message from you when you finish your writing session. But Camp gives you one option for doing that you know is going to be there. But solving that problem created another one for me. Okay, I've given writers somewhere to show up, but are they going to actually feel comfortable showing up there? Because I'm asking a bunch of writers, many of whom are probably introverts like me, to hop onto a Zoom session with strangers. I could build this perfect environment, but if it feels intimidating, then no one's going to use it. So I created Camp Buddies. Any camper who wants a buddy just answers a couple of questions about their writing and what they're looking for. It takes 30 seconds, and I'll pair them with another camper. Now, when you think about showing up for that first writing session, you can do it knowing that you're going to have a friend there, somebody you've already started getting to know. And even with Camp being a small group, it is still nice to have that one person who you really know is going to show up for you. Someone you can message, someone you can get comfortable with, and a relationship that you can build over the long term. When we say writing community, we tend to imagine this big group of people. But a lot of the time, you don't need 20 writing friends. You just need that one person who makes storytelling feel less like something you're doing all by yourself. This person and this group can draw you back into your writing practice when you start becoming disconnected from it. And that got me thinking about other ways that I could help solve that problem. Because even if you have somewhere to write and folks to do it with, the writing process has one really big disadvantage, and that's that it almost never demands your attention. Certainly not in the way that a notification does. Your manuscript won't send you a follow-up email or put a meeting on your calendar. I've talked before about the difference between urgency and importance. Writing can be incredibly important to us, but not often is it urgent. So I wanted camp to occasionally nudge writers back to each other and, by extension, back to their writing. That's where the idea for Cross Paths came from. Each day, a camper can have a writer randomly selected for them to encourage. You don't have to figure out who to message. You don't have to wonder whether it's weird or awkward to message someone you barely know. Your paths just cross. You send them a little encouragement, and maybe tomorrow, somebody sends you a nice message and reminds you that your writing is important and that there are folks supporting you. It's a tiny thing, but that's kind of the point. Sometimes we just need something in our world that occasionally taps us on the shoulder and says, hey, your story is still here. Maybe that's a person. Maybe it's just put in your notebook somewhere that you see it. But the question is the same. What does your environment make it easy to remember? And what does it make it easy to forget? I built camp to be a place that makes it easy to remember and to show up for your writing. And none of this means there won't be opportunities to learn in camp. I will be adding resources when they're genuinely useful. And I'm planning to bring in authors and other industry professionals for live conversations. But I don't want camp to feel like another library of things that just winds up on your to-do list. Learning can and will happen there. But that's not the point. The point is showing up. And thank you so much to the members of the Writing Woods who helped me develop camp. Y'all opened my eyes to this. And the funny thing is that I'm a writer too. And this is also what I need. So while I'm excited for camp to open for y'all, I hope that you really enjoy it. I'm also excited to have this kind of community and space for myself and my own storytelling. And I think all of this leaves us with a really interesting question, whether or not camp interests you. What conditions make it easy for you to write? And not the conditions where it would be easy and perfect, not a cabin in the woods where nobody bothers you and you don't have to worry about earning a living. Although if somebody's got that figured out, I am in fact interested. But what conditions in your actual life as it stands make it easy for you to return to your writing? Maybe it's knowing that someone else expects you. Maybe it's putting your phone in a different room, getting out of the house. Maybe it's having someone to talk about your story with enough that it stays alive in your mind. Instead of expecting yourself to function perfectly in any environment, what if you focused on changing your environment to support your writing process? And ultimately, camp has become an experiment in what happens when we deliberately create some of those conditions together. And y'all, we're about to find out because the first group of campers are getting ready to arrive. And because they'll be there from the very beginning and will help shape this place as it grows, they are going to be called our founding campers. Founding camper enrollment is open right now, but it closes on Monday. We'll open camp with a 3-day celebration around the first fire, with writing sessions, side quests, and plenty of opportunities to get to know each other and make camp your own. And every founding camper will receive a handmade welcome pack with some little pieces of my real life Writing Woods. There are 2 ways to join. Camp is $20 a month. Or you can join as a camp steward for $40 a month. Stewards get the exact same camp experience, but the additional support helps make camp accessible to riders who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford to join. And just to be clear, the larger Rotten Woods community is and will remain completely free. Camp is just a smaller place who want this deeper level of connection and participation, and who want to support the larger Rotten Woods community and make sure I can continue devoting resources to it. The link to join camp is down below. Camp will not be open to new members continuously. It'll be open during short windows so that our campers can settle in before we welcome another group of riders. So if you're watching this while Founding Camper enrollment is open, that link will take you straight to it. And if you're watching later, use the same link. If enrollment's open, you can join, and if it's closed, you can join the wait list to be the first to know when it's open again. If camp sounds like the kind of environment and community you've been missing from your riding life, I hope you'll join us around the fire. But either way, pay attention to the areas where you're trying to solve problems by learning something new. Because sometimes you really do need the book or the video. And sometimes you already know what to do. You just need to build a world around yourself that makes it a little easier to do it.